Kushagra, welcome. What are you going to be demoing for us today?
Let me start presenting my screen. Yeah, so there are two flows. Let's see if you're able to get through both of them. But the first one that I'm going to talk about is a campaign setup that is focused towards targeting event audience. People are who are going to attend a specific event, right? Just before we dive into it, some context into this. We actually did run the setup for one of the events last year called SaaStr. SaaStr is fairly big, and we had a client who was going to attend SaaStr. And the idea was that oftentimes when you attend an event, a lot of time is just wasted in terms of not being able to meet the right kind of people. You have to go around the room and talk to, let's say, 100 people to actually find five people who are relevant to you. So that time is just you're not able to maximize on that. And it is a trip to the US. You have invested a lot of your resources into that. Team has planned that event, and you're not able to capitalize on that, right? So SaaStr was such event, and we ran the setup. And the result that we got was we reached out to 100 folks, and I think we were able to meet with 20 over there. So 20% response rate, a positive response rate is what we had for the SaaStr campaign. Today, I'm going to demo the setup for an upcoming event which is called Prosper Show. For the folks who do not know about Prosper Show, it is an event that happens in the US for vendors who sell on marketplaces like Amazon. Right? It's very big. It's about to happen in March. So just to make it more relevant to right now, I have used the setup for Prosper Show, but we had run this in the past for SaaStr. Yeah, so this is a quick visual of the workflow that you're going to see. The first thing is what we're going to do in this workflow is we are going to target LinkedIn posts, right? What we want to do is we want to find out who are the people who are talking about Prosper Show on LinkedIn, because they are showing some level of intent that they are going to attend Prosper, and we should be able to reach out to them and plan a meeting with them, right? So high intent uh, leads who are showing interest in going to Prosper Show on LinkedIn. That's what we're going to find through this data source. This data source is called Rapid API. Once we have done that, what we're going to do is we are going to extract the details about the author. Who is this person? What is their job title? Where do they work at? What does that company do? How many employees does that company have? So that's what we're going to focus on. Then we have a filtering mechanism of saying whether this person is a ICP fit or not. What we are relying on over there is revenue and website traffic. What makes somebody a fit into your ICP differs. But for our use case, the two primary data points that we are going to look at is the company's revenue and the website traffic, because that is what is relevant to us in this case. Then the last thing is we'll generate a personalized message using Anthropic, which is Claude. And finally, we are going to set up a campaign in HeyReach to send messages over LinkedIn. So that's a quick overview of the workflow itself. Now to dive into the setup which is present inside Create, this is what it looks like. So if this is your first time seeing Clay, this is very similar to a spreadsheet view, right? In Clay, you have something called tables. So each table has a dedicated function, is how I look at it, right? You can build tables with dedicated functions. In this case, the first table that you're seeing, the only job that table does is to get posts which talk about Prosper Show, which is what we want to do. So the first table that you see only gets posts from LinkedIn which talk about Prosper Show. How are we doing that? We're doing that using a third-party API, like I mentioned, called Rapid API. What I have over here is a column. So very similar to, again, spreadsheets, there's a concept called columns. In this case, this is a API column. So I'm connecting with a third-party API called Rapid API to get these posts, right? What I'm doing is I'm using a post method to hit this endpoint with this request. My request essentially is tell me all the posts which talk about Prosper Show as a hashtag. And if I click on this button, I will end up getting all of those posts from LinkedIn.
Is this from beginning of time? How do you make sure it's, hey, this 2025?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm using sort by, so I'm sorting by the most relevant ones, and it should ideally show up with the in a chronological order, right? That's what that does. So it's in the order of posting. So the most recent ones will show up at the top.
Yeah. So RV_cron is reverse chronological.
I'm also not 100% sure. I would have to look at the API documentation, but my assumption would be it is relevant and basically most recent. Most relevant and most recent. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Cool. Sounds good.
Now I have all the posts that I want, right? I have the posts where people are talking about Prosper Show. This is the data that I ended up getting into this table, right? You can see how many posts are there. There are 39 posts that I already got. And this is just the first page that I have pulled in into my creative. This is the text of the post. Then you also have author details. Who is this person talking about this? What company do they work at? What is the post URL? I have all of this data. Now, how do I use it further? So to use it further, I am going to push this data into a next table. So I'll click on this button, and what it is going to do is it is going to send this data into the next table that I'm going to show you, which is the Prosper Show people table. As you can see, it is already telling me that 39 rows have been created. So where are these 39 rows? They are present over here. So now this is a dedicated view of all the posts.
Question there. So there were 200 posts, and from there it became 39. What happened? It was just duplicate authors and stuff like that?
There are actually 39 rows itself that we got from
Okay,
here.
okay, okay. Got it. And what is the 200 there?
That's the success message, essentially, that this was a
Okay, okay.
success. Yeah.
Status code 200. Got it. Okay, makes sense.
If I want to get more posts, what I can do is I can keep adding rows. And over here, I can say get me the next page and then run this again. It will get me 39 more. I think there might be a cap in terms of how many posts I get at a time. It might be 40 or something like that. But I can keep adding rows and keep getting more pages, essentially.
Got it. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So moving on to the next table, right? This is a post table now. Each row is a post, and that's what we're looking at. The first thing that you see, the first column, is essentially us doing a check, right? A lot of times, what happens is it will get you a post that is not relevant. It might have looked at one of the words, say, let's say prosper, right? Somebody is talking about prosperity, and it would have pulled that in. So just to make sure that we're looking at the relevant things, we have a formula column. Again, this is something that is present in Clay by default. There are formula columns where you can do a bunch of things. In this particular use case, what I'm doing is I am checking whether this post mentions Prosper or not. So let me do that. Prosper show. Uh, Return yes if the text mentions Prosper show. Otherwise, return no. And I don't even need to write a formula, right? If you're using Google Sheets or Excel, you would have to do that. But in Clay, you just need to do a natural language prompt and generate formula, and it does it for you. As you can see, it is already checking for the output saying that there is a match. I'm going to see this looks good, and that's what it is. The first column checks for the fact that there is Prosper Show mentioned in the text.
Can you go back to the formula?
Yeah.
Here, right? It's Prosper Show as one word, right?
Yeah.
But in a bunch of places, Prosper Show with a space over there. And I don't see that in the formula that you're, replacing spaces and so on. How is that working?
Yeah, because I know I've looked at a hashtag. So the earlier request that I did to the API was essentially to get posts with this hashtag. So that's why I'm looking at that word as one single thing.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay, awesome. So is this basically double checking that the API has actually returned the right thing?
Yeah, it's a data cleaning exercise. If it returns no, I don't want to ideally look at that. Right now, we just have a few rows, but when we are operating with, let's say, like 1,000 posts, right, then data cleaning becomes really important. Otherwise, you might end up using a post that is not relevant for you.
Got it, got it. Cool, awesome. Makes sense.
Yeah. So now what are the different details that are available about the post, right? You can see that this is in the order of being posted because the post that was made 3 days ago is at the top, and the post that was made 10 months ago for the last Prosper show, I'm assuming in 2024, is at the end, right? So it is in that chronology. And then you also have that posted date present over here, when exactly what is the timestamp of it. Now you also have like count, right? You have total reactions and total comments. Sometimes what you want to do is for different purposes, you only want to focus on posts which have really high traction. So you can filter that. How do you do that? Let's say I only want to focus on posts where the total reaction is above a certain threshold. I want to look at posts where total reaction is actually, let's say, 10. How many posts like that are there?
Maybe make it greater than 10. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How do I do that, right? I was trying to do that because total reaction is a text column right now. Let me change that to a number column. Only then I can use a operator like greater than. So what I'm going to say is total reaction actually is a number. It is not text. Once I do that, I can now apply the greater than filter. So let's look at total reactions again. And now I can do greater than 10. So there are 15 posts which have more than 10 reactions, right? Maybe for a certain use case, I just want to focus on these posts. But right now, that is not of that great importance. So I'm going to remove that filter. I was just trying to show that capability. But you do have that detail over here for you to sort by it, filter by it, and just focus on a segment of the post and not all posts. You also have the URL of the post. So sometimes if you're feeling certain doubt about that, you can just copy paste it and go to that exact post and be sure that it is the exact thing that you wanted to look at. You also have the authored URL. So you already now have gotten the information about who is this person who have posted it. Now, as a next step, you would like to know exactly what is the first name, last name, full name, title, work experience of this person, right? Now, this is where the capability of Clay comes in because till now, what we have gotten is details about the post using a third party API. Now, I'm going to use a native feature in Clay to further enrich that detail of the author. So, as a starting point, currently I have the author's URL. I'm going to feed that into a column called enrich person by profile. What I need is a social profile identifier as an input over here. So what I'm doing is I'm saying this is the author's LinkedIn URL. Take this and give me more details about the author. What are the different details that I'll be able to get about the author? I'll be able to get a bunch of details. Let's press this button and see what we're able to get. I'm going to do it for a few and get these details about the author next. So as soon as I click on that button, you can see I have the first name of the author, last name, the title. The first person is VP of sales. They are VP of sales at this particular company. This is their headline. I have their LinkedIn summary already present over here. I also have the summary from their work experience. So imagine in LinkedIn, this is in your work experience, detailing what are your roles and responsibilities. So this summary is different from the other summary that is a generic summary present at the top. So I'm able to pull in all of the details from their LinkedIn. Actually, it is much more detailed. You can go over here and dive in further. You can also look at what are the different awards, what is their certification, what is their publication, where did they study from. All of those details are actually present. For my purposes, these are the primary relevant things. So that is what I'm going to focus on.
Got it. So this is basically Clay calling the LinkedIn API to get this information. Is that essentially what's happening?
Yeah, Clay has a database of LinkedIn details, but yeah, it is a native Clay feature, and you can just use that to get LinkedIn details.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. Okay. All right.
Now, this is the first foray into a AI column, right? So AI columns in Clay are useful for a bunch of different purposes. Over here, what we're doing is we want to qualify these people into our ICP, right? Now, let's look at what this AI column is set up to do. This is one of the best features that I like about Clay because this gives you the flexibility of using AI for multiple purposes, right? First of all, look at the modularity, right? You can choose whatever model you want. So you have Anthropic, you have Gemini, you have OpenAI, and all of these different models by itself. And as you can see, there is something called a coin over here. These are credits, right? So Clay is primarily usage based. You pay for what you use, but sometimes that can be costly. So how do you make sure that you do not end up spending a lot of money? They allow you to add your own API. So I have my own OpenAI API present over here. So I don't need to pay for credits. If I use my own AI API, I don't need to pay for Clay credits. That's what I'm doing over here. That is on the modularity front. Then there are two functions, right? I would like to take a quick pause. Anything on that in terms of the AI functionality, Rohit, or I can move on further and
Seems really cool. Yeah.
so there are two things that you can do with AI in Clay, right? One is the web research agent. So imagine now, again, this is where it starts becoming really interesting, right? Traditionally, you could not have sourced whatever data you wanted from web, and you had to rely on data sources which you had paid for. But now what this AI allows you to do is build an agent right here which is the web search agent, right? You can tell it to do certain things. You can tell it to go to the prospect's website. You already have the prospect's name, right? You can tell it to go to their LinkedIn URL and research them. You can tell it to go to their website and research certain things. Maybe figure out whether it is a B2B company or a B2C company. Maybe figure out what is their pricing model. Maybe figure out what is their latest blog post. So that is the kind of flexibility that the web research agent allows you. Right now, what I'm doing is I just wanted to do a ICP qualification. So I don't need to source anything from the web. I already have everything that I want, right? So what do I have? I have their job title, I have their headline, I have their summary, I have their experience, their entire work experience. I just need those things to qualify them into my ICP and say that they are a good fit. So I have this prompt set up in a JSON structure. You don't need to have that. I just use JSON structure because it gives me the best kind of results. But this could be just a simple text prompt. So there is a role, there is a goal. The goal is to determine whether this person is an ICP fit or not. How do you determine that? By looking at all of these input parameters that we talked about. What is the steps? What are the steps that you need to take? You need to understand the job title and figure out whether they are founder, co-founder, owner in a sales marketing function, because that is our ICP. And go through all of these things. These are constraints laid out for it, all of the best practices of prompt engineering. And then the AI can understand all of these details. And what you can also do, so a lot of times what happens is you will tell AI to do something, but it gets confused and does something else, right? How do you make sure, how do you rein AI in? To do that, there is something called, you can specify that I only want output in this particular format. And the best way to do that is generating a JSON schema. And Clay allows you to do that right here. I just wrote a prompt. It could have been just a text prompt, and they generate a JSON output on the basis of it. Yeah, I can just end up saving that now. I'll talk about some of these other functionalities maybe later in the flow. But the idea is now, since I have this prompt set up to do the qualification, I can just run these rows. And the power actually comes in once you know your prompt is working. You can run this for the entire table, and that table can be 10,000 rows, right? So imagine doing this qualification manually earlier. Now you can do a qualification for your entire list of prospects, of thousands of prospects and companies. Once you do it for, like, let's say 10 people, and your prompt is working based on the input that you want, you can run it for your entire TAM and get that qualified list. So that is the kind of powerful actions that are possible, right? If you look over here, because I wanted to get certain things, right? I have already specified that I want to focus on senior leadership folks. I want to get an output saying like ICP is a fit. And just for me to have a peace of mind, I want to look at the rationale that why is AI telling me that they're a good fit? So they are a good fit because they have this title, which is a senior position. So all of that rationale by the AI is also present. So you can, sometimes you want to tweak things. That's where this comes in handy. You can go back, look at the rationale. Maybe the AI is not giving you the right kind of rationale, and you can tweak things and run things again. One more thing that you can see over here is the cost of it, right? I'm using 4O Mini, and this is a minuscule cost. So imagine doing this for 10,000 people, qualifying 10,000 people into your ICP bucket. How much money in terms of man hours and resources would you have spent, right? And look at this. For a row, it is able to do it for $0.00027, which is nothing.
That's insane. So 0.2 cents for doing it for 10,000 rows. Oh my God. It's nothing.
This is per row cost, but yeah, it is actually, if you run this, then the ROI that you get is insane, is the idea. Then once I have qualified them into like this person is a good fit, now I want to enrich their company. And going back to what we talked about over here, now I want to qualify the company, right? I want to qualify whether they have the right kind of revenue and traffic. So let's go back. Now, again, I'm using a native Clay feature over here called Enrich Company. And to enrich the company, what we're going to rely on is the company domain, right? So you see, I have the company domain present over here. And as soon as I run this, I get all the details about the company. What are the locations they're present in? What is the locality? Which industry? Everything from their LinkedIn, right? I have the description over here. Sometimes how we end up using the description is to do the B2B versus B2C classification, right? Maybe you only want to target B2B companies in fintech. So you will just read through the description, feed this into an AI column, and do that classification. So a lot of useful data. Right now, we are going to focus just on the company name, website, employee count, their size, industry, description. All of it is available. But going back to what is important to us, we want to focus on revenue and website traffic. So there are two different columns again that we're going to use for those two purposes. Now I have a prompt setup, an AI column with prompt setup, which does web research, right? Let's quickly look at the prompt that we have given. So we have asked it to determine a company's revenue. So this actually is one of the difficult data points to get, because for private companies, how does one even figure out what is their revenue, right? So all of these are guesstimates most of the time. But the idea is, as long as this information is present on Google about the company's revenue range, there is a way to find it. So we are telling the AI agent or the web researcher to take this company domain, perform Google searches in terms of, say, company domain revenue range. So it will go on and say where to go revenue range and perform these Google searches for us and get us the revenue range. What are the different details that we're going to get? Whether this revenue is a fit or not, and whether it is above $5 million or not, because that is important to us. Our revenue qualification threshold is $5 million in this case. I'm going to run this column and it is going to output some revenue range and whether or not it is a fit. So as you can see, it has said like, oh, this company has the revenue in the range of 10 to $50 million. And because it is more than $5 million, it is a fit. Let's look at how did it find this information, right? So it will tell you what are the different steps it took. It ended up searching this on Google. It found this detail over here. It went to this particular URL. It went to Zoom Info. Right? So if we go to Zoom Info right now, let's see what does it say. It says this is the revenue, right? So it is in this particular range. That is what it said. It is in the 10 to 50 million range, right? Because we had specified a range. If we had asked for something specific, it would have given us that. But it is relying on data sources that is it is finding on Google to answer our question. The other thing that we want to get is website traffic, right? This is again something where the power of Clay becomes very apparent, because it allows you to integrate with, I think now it is 100 different data sources. One of the data sources that we're looking at is SEMrush. So if you want to find website traffic or traffic details, there are primarily two data sources, right? Either SimilarWeb or SEMrush. In this case, we are using SEMrush and we are feeding in the company domain to get website traffic data. Let's run it for a few rows again. As soon as we run it, you'll see that we'll figure out what is the website traffic. So the website traffic in this case is this much, and you get it for each row. Now, this is the second ICP qualification criteria. The second ICP qualification criteria is either the revenue is more than $5 million or the total website traffic is 10,000 website visitors. This was important in our use case, but again, just to re-emphasize, your qualification criteria could be very specific to you. Maybe not this. Maybe you want to look at companies which are using a certain technology, right? You want to only target companies who are using HubSpot, or you want to target companies which are running LinkedIn ads. All of that data can be sourced from different data sources, and then you can use it to qualify. In this particular case, we're using these two data points. So once this ICP match happens, we move on to the next step. Now we can start drafting copy, right? This is again a very simple, straightforward thing. We already know that these people have high intent of attending Prosper Show. So we can just directly reach out to them in a LinkedIn connection request and say that looks like you are attending Prosper Show. I'm also going to be there. Would love to connect, right? Very straightforward connection request copy. And similarly, we are just using a formula column to draft this copy. We haven't used an AI column to draft the copy yet. But you can also draft a follow-up again, same as the earlier one, using a formula table or formula column. But this is again something where things get interesting. We are now using an Anthropic column or Claude column to draft a personalized copy. What we are feeding into that column is the name of the person and the LinkedIn post that they have made. And we're telling it to analyze the LinkedIn post, go through the structure of how I want the copy to be drafted, and then draft a personalized copy based on that structure. Right? So based on this detailed prompt, it is able to take in the LinkedIn post and write a personalized copy for the prospect. Let's see that in action. And our preference is to use Claude because it is good at copywriting in comparison to OpenAI. But there is also something called Twain, which is purposeful or purposefully built for this. So Twain writes sales emails. They've built this particular app just for this use case, but Claude works perfectly in most cases as well. The best practice that we use is never draft copy entirely, which is AI driven. So give it enough structure, give it enough examples, and then ask it to draft the copy so that it does not just go bonkers all over the place. So it says, saw your prospect post where you mentioned connecting to optimize operations and boost business growth, right? So this is a specific reference to that particular post. And then there is like a straightforward CTA saying that I'll be there as well. Or do you have some time to quickly catch up? But you can make this copy as elaborate as possible. If you're sending out an email copy, you can feed in multiple data points. The more structure you give it, the better the outcomes will be. I wanted to set up a quick example, so I'm just using something which is fairly straightforward. The last thing is setting this up into LinkedIn and actually sending out these messages on LinkedIn. To do that, we are using something called HeyReach. So HeyReach helps you with LinkedIn automation of your messages, connection request, and everything like that. I have all the relevant columns mapped over here: first name, last name, LinkedIn URL, all of the copy that I have drafted as custom fields. So we are pushing this data into HeyReach. As soon as I click over here, this will get added to my HeyReach campaign. So if you see over here, this is my HeyReach account and I have set up this campaign over here and you can see the campaign structure, right? So the campaign structure, this is what HeyReach allows, right? In terms of the campaign setup, you can view somebody's profile at the start. You can say that after you have viewed it, wait for 1 day, then follow them, then wait for 2 days, send them a connection request. All of these actions are to build a warm connection, right? You're showing some level of interest, which is distributed over a couple of days. So viewing their profile first, following them, then you can also end up sending them a connection request. You can send them a message, then you can like their post as well, right? So let's say that before doing this, what I want to do is I want to add something. Let me actually go back. You can do multiple things. The idea is that you can set up your entire campaign, and let's look at this connection request, right? The copy that I had drafted in Clay is now present as a custom variable over here. So when actually this message goes out, it would appear essentially as the message that we're seeing in Clay. And same is true for the different two messages. This is message 1 and this is message 2 that we had drafted. And you can set up the entire LinkedIn automation in Page. And as soon as I click this button, the people will get added to this particular campaign.
Let's assume I want these connection requests to go from different people in my team, like different AEs, right? Versus just me. Those kinds of things are also okay. You just add additional senders and so on as well.
You can distribute your leads to different people in your team. There are limitations as to how many connection requests, what kind of actions you can perform on LinkedIn. So HeyReach also natively takes care of that. Now, let's say that I want to send messages at certain time of the day, right? I can do that. These are my limits that I have set. You can go way below also. You can say that I don't want to send out 25 connection requests. I only want to send out 10. You can do those kind of things. You can maintain a schedule also. Maybe you are residing in India, but your target audience is in the US, right? So you can say that I don't want to send out connection requests and messages in IST because the person over there in the US is sleeping at that time. You can change that to the ET or Pacific time zone, right? And actually reach out to them when it is their morning. So all of those things and granular level controls are possible.
Really freaking cool. Complete aside, I think one of the other really cool things you can do with this is, let's assume a new AE or SDR joins your company. They need to end up developing their credibility and reach and so on within that particular industry that your company is going out at. You can almost do this to sort of make that happen. Hey, build the number of connections you have within the legal industry, so on and so forth, in a much more automated fashion. You can potentially end up getting people off ramp a lot faster. All of those things become possible. So very, 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 very cool.
Totally, Rohit. And actually, that is something that we've done in the past for one of our clients. They wanted to get connected to the right kind of audience in their TAM, right? And they came from like a completely different background. They had a technical background, first time founders, and want to expand their TAM into like a ICP that they don't have in their network right now. And we just set up Harish to do exactly that. Because consistently, even if you're not doing an outbound outreach, still you're getting connected with a relevant audience. Let's say tomorrow you want to start generating content, right? Who's going to view that content if your ICP is not in your network? So for multiple motions, like let's say leveraging your content and maybe like sending out messages much later in the future, you still need to build that audience in your network. And that is exactly what you were also saying, I guess. And that's 100% true.
Very, very, very cool. The kind of things you can do here, my mind's just racing.